Hi there, my name is Rufus Deutschler, Worldwide Design Evangelist at Adobe Systems. In this video, I wanted to show you what Adobe Muse can do for you. What is Adobe Muse? Well, Adobe Muse is an application that will allow you to set up a website without ever having to see tags or code. Ever. And that's really it. So let's start over here at the Adobe Muse website. muse.adobe.com. This is actually a very important website because this is where you can download the public beta of Muse. In this website, we can find several interesting things. First of all, in the home page, we see that, for instance, Muse Beta 5 is now available. So this is actually the version of Muse that I will be using today in this video. And we also have a Muse site showcase where you can see examples of work that professionals have done with Adobe Muse. If we go on here, we also see that we have a feature list of Adobe Muse, which actually shows me exactly what the application can do. And basically, what it does, it allows you to plan your website, to design your website with freedom, to add rich interactivity, and to publish your website. From A to Z, the whole workflow. Okay, from planning your site to publishing it. This is exactly what the promise of Muse is. And again, here you can get Muse. Then we have the tech specs, which will tell you what platforms Muse actually works on, and we can see that it works on Windows and on Mac OS. We have a frequently asked questions section here, where the questions that you users post to us are actually answered. Then we have also a tag here for pricing, how much the product will cost once it goes live early next year. And we see that there is a yearly plan, a month-to-month plan. And basically what we see here also is that Adobe Muse will be available on a subscription model. And let me just talk about that subscription model a little bit. The interesting thing is about this subscription model is that, we at Adobe can provide you with the latest tools you need. And we don't have to wait for a whole year or a whole product cycle to give you access to those new tools. This is why I think Muse is a very good example of a subscription-based application. And then there's a whole learning section over here, where we have tutorials, videos, also in-application help, etc. And that will allow you to learn even more about the software. Then there's a whole support section here. And support will allow you to post your questions, to engage with the community. There's again frequently asked questions. You can share ideas, report problems, or simply give praise to Adobe Muse. Then if we move on here, we have the showcase, and this is a list of websites that have been created with Adobe Muse, so you can see examples of what has been done. And also, one thing that is interesting to note is that this whole Muse website actually has been created with Adobe Muse. So all of the interactivity, all the links that you see in this website have been created with Muse. Let's go back here to the home page. Once we get Muse, we simply download the application. It's actually a very light application. It's about 6 megabytes or something like that. And basically it's an Air application. So what is it we're going to do today? What I have planned here is a little website about our planet Earth and the planets that are around us. A little bit about the solar system, really. Okay, so I have prepared some images here. I used a 3D application to create those images. All right, so we have images of planets. We also have buttons that I created in Photoshop. I've created an image for the home page, and then we can go in here. We have prepared images for an image gallery. All of these will place inside of a document in Adobe Muse. Of course, where does all of this start? It of course starts with a little ideation sketch. Here's an example of what I did before I created the elements for that website. You know, I decided I needed a home page, and then a page with planets, and then a little bit more about the Earth, and we're going to actually put in a link to Google Earth here, and then we have a gallery of images, and then an image of the entire solar system. Okay, so these are my notes, and this is what I'm going to base my my web design on. Let's go back here and see some other elements that I have here. Here I have a pattern that I'm going to use in the background of the image, and then I have some more images here that I will actually pin on the pages, and the whole solar system, which I will be using to create hotspots and little windows that will appear as you hover your cursor over the planets. Okay, let's begin then. Let's create the Muse website. Let's move over to Muse. And when you open Muse, you are given the opportunity to either create a new website or open a recent website. In this case, I've just installed this new version of Muse, of the public beta, version 5, and I will create a new website. Let's click on this. The first thing we see is that we can define page width and a minimum height for the site, for the page in the site. We can center that page horizontally. I can apply margins and even padding around the page, but I will show you that in a second. And also how many columns. This is a little bit like in InDesign when you define the columns of your InDesign page. And basically what I want in my case is a 5-column grid. And as soon as I put in that number, the column width automatically adjusts, and I can also define the gutter between those columns. Let's say OK to this, and here we are. We're directly brought into the plan view of the website. And we see that we have master pages and also web pages here. And if we look closer, under the web pages, we can actually also read what master page has been applied to that specific page. So, what do we need here? Remember the little sketch I made. What I need to do is to create all of the web pages necessary for the little website that I've planned to create. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you also that we have the ability to turn off thumbnails here, so that we'd only see blank pages, or create the thumbnails. That depends on how quickly you want to actually preview your pages. And I can also remove the master badge. The master badge is this down here. So if I remove it, it just removes the information as to what master page has been applied to that specific web page. And I can also decide the size of the little previews here. Okay, so let's plan the website. So we have the home page, of course. This is the first page my visitors will actually get to see. And then we have these little buttons here, and we can add child pages to navigate down in a certain subject, or we can add pages left or right of the home page. So let's add another page here. And according to my sketches, this page will be actually the neighboring planets. So neighbors, I will put in that information. Let's put in another page, and after that I will have a page that lets you explore the planets. Explore, let's write that correctly, like this. It's very important because these names will actually create automatic menu navigation. And here I can also input maybe a little a child page, just to show you how that works. And I'm going to call this one the Earth. Then we're going to add another page here and call this the image gallery, something like that. And a last one, which will be the entire system. So as you can see, very, very quickly, I can create the plan for my website with all of the necessary pages. Let's move on to designing the actual web pages. But before I do that, let me go here under File, Site Properties, and show you how you can access the layout informations after you've actually created the website. So here again I can change the page width, the minimum height, the number of columns, and can change the margins of the page. Let me actually just open a page just to show you what these elements are. I'm going to open the home page, for example, and let me go back into the site properties here, and we see that the page width is 960, okay, from 0 to 960. The minimum height is now set to 500. That's the minimum height the page will have even if there is no content inside of the live area here. And then we have the margins that we can create around the page, which are these margins here, just like in an InDesign document really. The 5 columns that I've asked Muse to create for me are right here. And then we have the padding. And basically the padding is the space between the your web browser window to the web page. Okay, so I can add padding on top and padding on the bottom. And then in the site properties, I can also add a favicon image. And basically that is the little image. Let me go back to my website here. That is the little image that will appear here next to the URL inside of your web browser, and also be saved inside of your favorites folder if you choose to have this website inside of your favorites. And basically the way to add that favicon image is simply to choose a new image for that. So let me just take one of the images here. Let's see if I take this one here. Let's take Mars, for example, and select that. And that is now my favicon image that will be applied to the website. Inside of the site properties, we can also change the appearance of hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are links you create to other web pages or links within your web page. So the defaults for that are these blue colors here. So we have the normal state, the hover state, the visited, and active state. And there I can also choose to have the words underlined or not, in italicized or bold. Okay, simply by clicking on here, I can make sure that my hyperlinks will be bold and underlined, for example. Let's leave this as is for now. Let's say OK to this and start working on our website. Like I said, what you have to do here is think about master pages, which are down here, which will automatically be applied to the web pages of your site. So whatever you create on a master page will automatically be applied to all of the pages. Let's see how that works. Let me open the A master. And here we have the page. We have the various zones here. We have the padding, we have the margins, we have the columns. And the other thing we notice also are these little widgets here on the side, which actually allow me to define the padding manually. So if I start dragging the padding here, I can actually change the padding on the top and at the bottom manually. And then we have these two areas here, which are the header and the footer areas. And bear in mind that whatever you put in these areas will actually stay at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page. So independently of how long the information here in the live area is, these things will actually stick to the header and the footer areas. So let's start working on this. What I can do here is choose a browser fill. For example, if I don't want this gray color as my browser background fill, I can go here and choose another. So simply by choosing another color, this will become the color of the browser behind the actual page that I'm creating. But in my case, what I want to do is not to give it any fill at all, but to actually fill it with a pattern. So by clicking here on browser fill, what I can do is instead of choosing a color, I can choose an image. So let's choose a background image. Let's go back into my folder here and let's take the star pattern. Let me just preview that for you for a second. Okay, it's just a pattern of stars that I want to have in the background. Let's select this, and now I have this tiling all across my page. I can also choose different types of fitting. For example, I can say, show me only the original size, so it'll only put it here in a specific area. Or I can tile the images horizontally, just to have a bar of stars here. Or tile them vertically, such as so. But in this case, what I want to do is really just tile them so that they fill the entire area. Now, the other thing I want to do is to actually work on the page here. And what I want to do is to make my pages black with some transparency. And as you can see, while the page is selected, my menu up here gives me all the options that are necessary to actually format that specific page. So I can choose a fill, a stroke, and even the corners of the page. So for example, if I click on the two lower corners, I can decide to make the corners rounded. And we see the effect immediately here on my page. So basically, I can also give a shape to my page, not only objects I create in Muse. Let's get rid of the stroke. Let's just say that we don't want any stroke at all. Let me just go here and remove the color and put the stroke to 0. But I want a fill. Let's take black for the fill. Okay, and then if I click on fill again, I can change the opacity of that fill. And let's put that to something like 50%. Okay, let's put it in manually here. Write down 50. Okay, so that I have this half transparent black area on which I will be positioning my images and my text. But again, as with the browser background, I could also choose to fill that page with an image. So let's go back, and we're pretty much done with the elements that we need here. All right. The other thing that will of course be present on all of the pages is the navigation menu. And that's where the widgets in Adobe Muse come in very, very handy. And we're going to be using some of these widgets today, but the one that I'm interested in right now is in the menus here. And if I click on the widget, you see I already have a little preview here inside of my little preview panel here that actually shows me how the menu is made. So let's take the bar, for example, and simply by clicking and dragging it over here, I can place it on my page. And as you can see, the names of the buttons are exactly the same names that I have created in my plan view of the website. Okay, the names I gave to the pages are actually reflected here. Let's place that widget for a second and also check out this little flyout menu. So if I click on here, what I can see is that I can further personalize that menu. I can choose the menu type. I can say I want only top level pages, or I want all pages, or I want to manually select what pages. In my case, I want all of the pages, and we will see that under Explore we will also have now the link to the Planet Earth page that I've created under the Explore page. And then I can also choose to edit the elements together, the item size, uniform width, so that all of the buttons have the same size. And I can also choose what parts I want inside of these the buttons of my menu. Let's go out of here and actually make that the whole widget slightly bigger. So I'm going to select it, and simply by moving that right side here to the right, I can now make my whole menu bar a little bit longer. And as you can see, it adjusts automatically. You will also learn that all of these buttons are, of course, completely you can really choose the colors you want. You can create the buttons with images. You can really create them as you want for your website. But for right now, this is okay for me. The other thing I want down here is a little icon that shows that this website has been done with Adobe Muse. So let's go back here to the Muse website, and we see down here that there is actually a Made with Muse badge. So let's get the badge. Let's click on that link, and I have a dark background, and I want the little icon here. So all I need to do is to copy that code, copy it, and go back to my website, and under Object, what I want to do is to insert some HTML in that page. And this window will now open. Muse tells me to insert my HTML here, so let's do that, paste, and say OK. And once this is done, Muse will actually fetch the image from that link, and I can now position it in exactly the position that I want. And I want it right down here in my footer area, something like that. And maybe the other thing I want to do is to add some text to describe how that website was made, if there's a copyright, my name maybe. So let's do that as well. Let's go here inside of my text. I have a little footer text here, which I'm simply going to copy and paste here using the type tool. Okay, just like in InDesign, I can create a text box like this and paste my text in there. Select it all, and of course, now that I've selected text, up here in my control panel, these are all of the options that I can apply to my text. And let's leave that in Arial for a second and make the type white. Okay, I can change the letter spacing, something like this. Let's make 1. I can change the line spacing. I can apply hyperlinks. I can make the type underlined, italic, or bold. I can choose the size of the text. Let's make it slightly smaller. Let's make it 12 point. Okay, and then with my selection tool here, I can now really place it into position. All right, this website has been created for demonstration purposes only by Rufus Deutschler in 2011. All right, so basically this is it. If we want to preview what we've just done, all we need to do is to click the preview button here, and boom, this is how our page will now look, with the buttons, with the automatic rollover effects, with access to the child page, and so on. So let's go back to the plan view, and big surprise, all the things that we've done here on the master page have been automatically applied to all of the pages in the website. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now, the other thing, actually, let's work on the home page for a second. And what I want on the home page is the image of planet Earth. So what I will do is simply go here, File, Place, and choose the Earth homepage, PNG, and I'll show you in a second why this is a PNG. And a little bit like in InDesign, we have a place gun where we actually see the image that we're going to place, and as soon as I click and drag, I can now place that image inside of my page. And as I make the image bigger than the original size of the page, remember the minimum size that I've chosen, you see that the footer automatically goes below. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want the Earth to be that big and to take up these 3 columns. All right, so the footer automatically went down. Perfect. And the reason why this is a PNG exported out of Photoshop is that I have the transparent background so that I can see the stars behind the planet Earth. The other thing that I want to do here is to actually add some text. So I will take my type tool here, and let's add some text over here. Let's make a text frame and call this our planet. Select all and apply a font. Now here there's something important to understand. The first fonts that Muse will show us are the web-safe fonts. These are all the fonts that are very likely to work on any operating system and in any browser, really. Okay, these are safe fonts, fonts that you can use that will work on any browser or operating system. And so, for example, if I choose a Futura here, that font will be applied to my text, and that text will actually remain text as I export the website, as I publish the website. But what if I choose a font that's in my system? Okay? Actually, Muse tells you it exports it as an image. So you can use any type of font in your Muse website. But whatever you write in that specific system font will be exported as an image. In my case, I want to use, let me see what I have here. Let's go down a little bit more, and let's see. Oh, I have a whole bunch of fonts here that I can choose from. Let's say that I want to use the lobster font for this one. This one here. Perfect. And make that slightly bigger. Let's make that 72. And this is now on our home page. Okay, let's make that text frame slightly smaller, and move it down here and select the text again. Okay, as long as you're in Muse, that text will remain text. Only when you actually publish that text to the web will it be converted to an image. But don't worry too much about that, because Muse will also automatically export an alternate text for the text that has been rasterized. So, for example, in the code, which you will never see in using Muse, it will be written "our planet." But what I want to do here is to actually change the type color to white, okay, and then show you some of the effects that we can actually apply to text or images or graphics that we create in Adobe Muse. Let me place that right here, and if I go over here to my effects, I can see that I can apply a drop shadow to it. Let's apply that. Okay, and we can see that this has been applied now on top of our PNG. I can change the opacity of that drop shadow, of course. Let's make that 100%. I can give it a little bevel. Let's turn that on as well. Oh, that's too much. So let's change the bevel size to something like size 1 and distance 1. All right, so that it gives it this little 3D effect on it. And we're pretty much done. So basically what we've done here, if we go back to the plan view, we've created the home page with an image and some text. Now, let's go over here to the neighbors page, because here I want to show you another widget that we can use. And if we go here in the composition, we see that we have lightbox displays, tooltips, panels, slideshows. In this case, it's under panels, and what I want to include here is an accordion panel. Let's take this one. We can see here a little preview. Let's take the accordion panel, place it here. I can make it as big as I need to. Okay, so let's simply make it wide all the way to here. And the way the accordion panel works, actually let me just go to preview to quickly show you that, is that when I click on one of those items here, some information will be shown to me. Let's go back to design and actually add another panel here. And the panels that I want to actually create is one for, let's say, Mercury, planet Mercury, and then maybe here I'm going to select that text here and change that to Jupiter. And let's change this one here to Mars. Okay? Then, as I go through the various panels, I can now add the information. So for example, here in Mercury, I would like to add the image of planet Mercury. File, Place, and let's go here into my accordion images. Let's take the Mercury image, select that, and simply click here and place it. Jupiter, File, Place, and take the accordion, Jupiter, select, and place. Right? It automatically fits in here. And File, Place, and let's put the last one, which is planet Mars. Select that and place it in here. Perfect. At that point, I can go back into the accordions here and actually make the images bigger. Let's say that I want the images to fit in that first column. And as you can see, the accordion actually automatically adjusts to the new size of that image. Let's make this one bigger also, something like that. Perfect. And as with all of the widgets, once I select it, there's this little flyout menu. And here I have a couple of options. I can say my user can close all windows. Let's do that. Or close all initially, so that when the page opens, the widget is actually closed. And edit together. Edit together is something like that. For example, here we see that the planet has a white background. So to change the color of the background here, all I need to do is to actually select this area here and change the fill to white. Okay? And if I now go check my other planets, I see these have automatically been updated. Now, here I also want to add some text. So let's go back here into the Finder and take some lorem ipsum that I had prepared. Let's say here I want to put in, let's put in these 3 paragraphs here of lorem ipsum, copy that, and go back to Muse, create a text frame, let's put it right here, okay, and paste the text. And as you can see, automatically the text now goes into the area that that it will need automatically. Let's go to the second one, and in that second one, let's make it slightly shorter and just take 2 paragraphs, copy, and with my type tool, let me just put in some text in here and paste, done. And in the last one, we're going to put in the same text and paste. Okay. At that point, I can go back to preview and actually see how that all works. Mercury, I can close it, go to Jupiter, and Mars. And as you can see, the page automatically gets longer to fit in all the text that I want my users to read. Okay? So one thing also here is that, which we can see, is that the page now has become longer. And maybe what I want here is to put in an element that will actually stay there. Let me show you how to do that. Let's go back to design, and I'm going to import. Actually, let's go back down here to the bottom of the page and move that to the side a little bit, and File, Place. And what I want to place here is the pinned earth, this PNG here, which has a transparent background. And as you can see, what I can do now is place it right here to the corner, and up here I can actually ask it to be pinned on a specific side of the browser. On the top left, on the top center, top right, or bottom left, bottom center, or bottom right. I want it to be pinned in my page at the bottom right. Okay, so once I've done that, I can now take that element and place it right here in the corner. And what will that do, you may ask? Once this object is pinned, if I go here to preview, this object will actually be pinned here to the side of my browser window. So as I make the browser window smaller or bigger, this object will be blocked there. And as I scroll down the page to read the rest of my text here, you see that the earth has actually remained pinned right here. Okay, so this is one way of making sure that elements don't move on your web page, by pinning them down. Let's move on to another page. Let's go back here to, let's make that window bigger again, to the plan view. We see that this page has now been populated. Let's go here to the Explore page. And what I want to do here is to actually add some Google Maps information. And let me just create a quick object here just to check out how big I want my object to be. And we see that the width I need is 544. Okay, so let's delete that. Go to my browser and open a new tab here and go over to maps.google.com, for example. Let's go here to Earth. Here is my planet Earth. Let's make it slightly smaller so that I see my whole planet Earth. Let's zoom out. Something like that. Okay, and this is what I want to put in my website. And Google allows us to do things like that, as do many other websites, simply by linking to what we call an iframe. And what I need to do here is simply to copy that HTML and to paste it into any website. And we can do that with Muse websites as well. But in Google, I can also customize and preview the embedded map. So let's do that. And you remember how the width that I needed was actually 544. So we can do that here in the custom map size, 544. I can also choose a different height. Let's make that height 400. And this is how my image will look. At that point, all I need to do is to take the code down here, select it all, copy it, go back to my Muse website, and simply paste it. At that point, Muse will actually go fetch the necessary code and allow me to take that iframe and place it in my layout. As simple as that. And since I knew the exact size that I needed, let's go back to our plan view, because there's another thing I wanted to show you here in the Earth, and that is the way you can create buttons in Photoshop and actually import them in Muse and use their rollover effects. So before I show you how to import it, I'm going to show it to you in Photoshop. What I've done here is a series of images on a transparent background that include a view of the Earth with its core, okay, and then the Earth on its own, and a transparent background. Okay, so these are the three elements, and I've also given them names: up, down, over, and saved them as a PSD. So if we go over here to Muse again, what I can do now is go under File, Place Photoshop Buttons. And here's my button. It's a PSD. I can place PSD documents in Muse, of course, so select that. And Muse will also allow me to change the definitions that I've given in Photoshop by showing me this little window here. So the normal state, I will simply choose up. Okay, that's the one with the Earth and the atmosphere. The rollover state is just the Earth, and the down state of the mouth is the Earth with the core of the Earth. So let's say OK to that. Here's my object, and let's place that object right here inside of my layout. Let's make it slightly bigger. All right, something like that, and let go. At that point, if I go to preview, we will now see that I've effectively created a button. Here's my cursor. As soon as I move over it, it shows me the Earth without the atmosphere, and when I click on it, it shows me the core of the Earth. All right, so this is to show you how simple it is to actually create buttons in Photoshop and import them into Adobe Muse. Of course, let me just reopen that page. I can then use that button to apply hyperlinks. For example, I can add hyperlinks right here, or I can open hyperlinks in a new window. I can create styles, etc. But I'm not going to go into that right now. So this is the way to create a Photoshop button. Let's move on. Let's go back to our website here, and the next thing I want to do is to create a gallery of images. And again here, I will go here to my widgets library and open some of the compositions. What I want to do is to actually use a slideshow. Let me go down here, slideshow, and use maybe the thumbnails slideshow. Okay, which has a hero image and little thumbnails and little navigation buttons here. And all I need to do is to take those thumbnails, drag them over, and here's my gallery in all of its glory. It has all of the elements that I need to create the gallery. Up here in the flyout menu, I can also choose to add other images. I can choose the transition between the images as I move from one image to the other in the gallery. I can also select autoplay so that when the page actually loads, automatically the images will play in the page. I can also define how the images get fit inside of that hero frame. I can also choose how the images fit in my little thumbnails, and then I can also choose the parts. The parts are these. See, previous, next are these little buttons down here. Okay, so let me zoom in here for a second. And I don't think I will need those for this gallery, so I'm simply going to remove them. All right, and also what I don't need is this little counter to show me how many images are left. Let me just remove those. So basically what I'm left with is just the captions area and the thumbnails. And then simply to add images, I will click on that button here, and let's go here to my image gallery, select all of those images, and import those. Loading 6 files, and here are the images of my planets. Now, I need to get rid of the placeholder images. Simply by clicking on them, selecting them, and deleting them, I will get rid of their thumbnail and of their hero image. Okay, so like this, let's select them and delete them. At that point, I can take the various parts that make up this gallery and move them around. So for example, I can put all of the thumbnails on the side here. I can take the caption and move it down here, for example. Make the text box slightly bigger, something like that. Take my hero images, place it here, and make the hero image bigger so that it fits inside of the 3 columns. It's really like doing a layout in InDesign. Okay, and then as I click on my various thumbnails, I see how I can actually access the images. And at any point when I click out and take my my widget again, I can access the little menu here and make other changes. All right, so show lightbox parts while editing or edit together, and we've seen that already when we've created the accordion. So this is how easy it is to create an image gallery in Adobe Muse. Let's do one last thing here. Let's go here to the system page and File, Place. Take now the image that I've created of the solar system here, select that, and click and drag, place that image right here, something like that, and let go. What I want to do on that image is to create some hotspots, so that when my user actually hovers over the image, a text box will appear and explain some more about the planet. To do that, I will go up here in the compositions and use the tooltip widget. Tooltips are very easy to create in Muse, simply by taking that widget and dragging it over. What we see here is that we have the little hotspots. Okay, we can add some more elements. For example, if I say I want to add one more hotspot and one more call out, I can do it like this. But in my case, I'm going to do Command Z simply to go back to my 3, because these are the 3 that I will be using now. So first of all, let's place those. Let's take these simply by selecting them together and moving them. I can now twirl down here and place that. I will take this one here and maybe place it over here. Let's take this one for Mars, and then let's take this one here for Saturn. Okay. At that point, all I need to do is to go back in here and make these areas, these hotspot areas, slightly bigger, okay, so that they cover the planets themselves by clicking and dragging the corners, something like that. And let's take Mars here and create this one here, and then select them all again, and all 3 of them simply by holding down the Shift key while selecting them and changing their opacity to 0, okay, so that they're transparent. At that point, I can go back in my boxes here, I can change their shape, their color, and even the text that is contained in them. So this is Planet Earth. Okay, and this here is Saturn, right? Yes, and this here is Planet Mars. Okay, let's check out how these work. Let's go in here into Preview. First, there will be no indication. As soon as my user goes over planet Earth, the little callout comes out. This is Saturn, and this is Mars. Okay, so this is also a very, very easy way to create these callouts on images that you may have in your website. But let's go back to the design mode. Actually, let's go back to the plan view, where we have all of the little thumbnails now. We have the master page we've created, the home page, a page with an accordion widget, a page with some embedded iframe from Google Earth, a little Photoshop button here, an image gallery, and an image with some hotspots and callouts that automatically come up as our users hover over them. Now, one thing is missing here, and these are titles that I may want to give to my pages. Let's go over here to the home page and select this text. Actually, select it with the selection tool, copy it, and I will now go through all of the pages we've created. And just to make sure that this text also appears on the other pages, I'm going to paste it. Let me place the text over here in the corner using my guides. I'm going to take the text also and make it slightly smaller. Select all and make that text maybe, let's make it 36 is a bit small. Let's make it 48 and align it to the right. Okay. And this page here is neighbors. Okay, let's select this one, copy, go back to the next page, and instead of pasting, which would paste it to the in the center of the image, I'm going to do Command Z. I will go here, edit, paste in place, so that it's pasted in exactly the same position that I've copied it from. And this one is explore the Earth. Edit, paste in place, the Earth, the gallery, edit, paste in place, and we're going to say this is the gallery, yes, like this. Let's make sure that this text frame is slightly smaller so that it doesn't interfere with some hotspots that we may have here. And the last one is the system. Edit, paste in place, and double click and select the text, system. Perfect. At that point, if we go back to our website, we see that we've now added little titles to all of the pages. At that point, we're pretty much ready to export that website. And there's two ways we can do that. The first one is to go here and export everything as HTML. Let's do this one first. We can choose the location. Let's just put that on the desktop for a second and make a new folder and call it Muse Export. Create that and select and say OK. And my whole website is now being exported as HTML. And what would you do with that HTML? If you're using a service provider that hosts your website, you can then take that HTML and simply FTP it, publish it to that website. But I'm going to show you another solution just in a second. Let's go here to my Finder, to the desktop, Muse Export, and what we have here are all of the HTML pages. The index one is the home one. We have scripts, the JavaScripts that allow us to have all of the animation with the buttons and the accordions, for example, and of course the CSS. The CSS are the cascading style sheets that that help you define the styles of your web pages. But you don't really need to know all of that, because what you have here is a complete website that you just need to upload to your web service and publish it like that. The other way we can publish, let's say OK to that. The other way we can publish is, of course, to use the publish inside of Muse, which will actually publish it to Business Catalyst. So let's click here on Publish. I will access my Business Catalyst account, and you can do that too by having a free access that will host your Business Catalyst website, your trial website for 30 days. So we have to sign in. Next. I will then be able to actually create a new trial site, or maybe use some of the other sites that I've already created. But I'm going to create a new trial site exactly as you would do that, and click on Next. I'm going to give the site a name, Our Planet. I'm in Italy right now, and the time zone is GMT +1. Let's just make sure that here, Italy, Rome, there we go. Starting address. This is the address with which your customers or your coworkers will be able to access the website for 30 days. And that is .businesscatalyst.com. And what I'm going to do is simply say ourplanet.businesscatalyst.com. Data center, I'm going to choose the closest to me, which is in the European Union, and I will also agree to the end user license agreement. So let's say next. Muse is now validating the address that I've chosen, Our Planet. It's creating the Business Catalyst trial site. And then once this is done, I will then be able to publish everything we've done in this video right there to the web. All right. Now that the website has been created, the ourplanet.businesscatalyst.com, I'm now able to upload everything that I've created to that website. So let's simply click on Next. And basically what is happening now is that all of the HTML pages, all of the CSS, all of the images, all of the JavaScript that I've shown you in the HTML export is now being brought over to the Business Catalyst account. Once this is done, Muse gives me a publish confirmation. The Muse site was successfully published to the Business Catalyst site, Our Planet. And at that point, we can either finish or view the website. Let's go view the website. This is actually an address that for the next 30 days you will also be able to explore. Our Planet, businesscatalyst.com. It has my text. It has the buttons that we've created in this video. So if I go here over to the neighboring planets, we have the accordion, okay, which I can close, go move over here to Jupiter and Mars, see all of that information. We have the pinned Earth down here, which is actually pinned at the bottom right corner of my browser. And if we go to Explore, we also have access to the Google Earth map that we've included here. Comes up pretty fast, and at that point I can interact with that map. I can zoom in it and explore it. If I go down to Earth, so here we have the button, and as I hover over it, we have the Earth without the atmosphere, and when I click on it, we see the core of the Earth. Let's move over here to the gallery, and we see that we have all of the images that I can now choose from. Okay, or the gallery moves autonomously, fading the images one after the other. And the last thing we want to look at is the system. And as you can see, as I hover over the planets, my little callouts come up and explain to me what those planets are. So basically what we've seen here in this video is how easy it is with Muse to actually plan the website, to design with freedom, and to add rich interactivity. And then ultimately to publish it in the two ways I've shown you, to HTML to the website of your choice, or using Business Catalyst. So it is really, really easy, and you've seen me do it from zero, from just an empty website plan here. Let's just finish this for example. An empty plan which I have populated with elements of a master page, and then simply by adding images and information on the pages, and then publish it. This is really what Muse is all about. It is an application that will let you set up a website without ever having to look at code or tags or things like that. And this is really it. This is the promise of Muse.